Void. Plumb downward, through infinite leagues, down a dark that goes in all directions for all eternities. Dark is not the word. Black does not do much better, as black means the absence of color. How black can black be when the very definition implies the existence of its opposite? Nor blankness. That term suggests the possibility of future creation, as a painter might make strokes on a canvas. Nor emptiness, as that evokes imagery of glass bottles or cardboard boxes, a thing that is made to be filled. There is no word for the voidness I am describing. If both eyes were closed and all lights blotted out, the picture would still be a bastardization of the reality. Suppose the eyes were torn out or gouged in their sockets. Even then, the mind will fill the dark with all flickers and flashes and sparks, the screams of a mind designed to see, but denied the luxury. What do cartoon people see when the credits have rolled and the lights fade, the cassette machine rustling and fumbling, spitting the cartridge out? Or the last man on the last page who speaks his final lines and performs his final gesture? The grace of the Lord Jesus be with God's people. Amen. That voidness, it comes nowhere close to it, but it is the very best that anyone can begin to imagine. Void. Sit upright in bed at night, when the world has died down to a whisper, and listen very carefully. There is the low hum of electrics, the faraway traffic. The walls settle, the ears themselves crack, the mind faintly whines to fill the silence. It is a cacophony in comparison to the sheer quiet of the void. Take away vibration. Take away all possibility of it. Now listen. As for the immensity of the void, one might envision the scale of space-time, its unwieldy magnitude stretching infinitely in all directions. We tend to break the cosmos up into crumbs. The Earth and the Moon, one orbits the other. The Sun in a wider system, the surrounding star clusters, the galactic community, the local group, the pillars upon pillars of spirals and bars and irregular lights, crumbs within crumbs within crumbs. But the void is one. The void accommodates no such segmentation. Nothing to compare and nothing to contrast. A minute's drifting in one direction and no celestial barrier comes into sight. Now, an hour's drifting. A day. Drift for as long as it takes for a puddle to dry. Drift for as long as it takes for an oak tree to mature. Void. Place a mug on the ground beside you. Into it, a single drop of water, about the size of a pea. Come back exactly 1 year hence and add another drop. Do this again and again. Do it until the mug is on the cusp of overflowing. Fetch now a bucket and pour the contents of the mug into it. Repeat the process. Fill the mug year by year. Pour its contents into the bucket. Do this until the bucket is nigh overflowing. Now take a round trip to the planet Jupiter. Tip the contents of the bucket into the roaring hurricane. When that bucket has been filled once more, another visit to Jupiter is in order. Again, again, again. Do this repeatedly until the blistering clouds of the storm giant have been swamped, transforming its gaseous skies into one huge ocean. Consider how long this might take, and travel through the dark void for that length of time. No end is reached. All that rigmarole from the mug to the marsh, do it again. Do it 10 times. 100, 1,000,000.
Void.
The void is infinite, not just in space, but in time. The sheer magnificence of the universe, all its epochs stretching on for longer than any man can conceive. They fade into nothing when compared to a blink of the void's eye. The unquantifiable lifespan of reality, from Eden to Judgment, Big Bang to Big Freeze. That length of time is nothing. Consider the falling of sand grains through an hourglass, and for each grain that passes, an hour is done. By the end of this, has the void stirred an inch in discomfort? No, the quietude remains untainted, as whole as ever before. What if each grain signified 1,000,000,000 years? In the lifespan of our universe, only 13 grains have fallen thus far. Still, with the passing of the final grain in unthinkable eons, the lifetime of the void has not even begun. Never mind its lack of an ending. The void was never born in the first place, never manifested from a singular point. It is always and everywhere, and it was everywhere always. But say one could travel for an eternity at light speed, or even faster, and one possessed the enviable patience of the void itself. Eventually, inevitably, one would see a small and unfathomably distant light, pale and pink, little brighter than an ember amidst dark coals. On slowing approach, notice its flicker as the silent crackles and lazy starbursts of the sun's plasmatic surface rage, a restless ocean of fire. It offers nothing but weak warmth and a light that barely penetrates the endless void. But compared to the nothingness around it, this star is a veritable universe of its own. It has no name, but we will call it the Light. The Light is an M-type main sequence red dwarf star with a surface temperature of about 3,700 Kelvin. Its radiance is nothing spectacular at roughly 0.049 solar luminosity. Then again, in a universe of pure nothing, the light is the brightest, largest thing in existence. It wields a radius of 380,201 kilometers. Without any reference to compare against, its trajectory through void space is unknown. For all we know, it remains perfectly still. It does not grow. It does not shrink. It simply burns and keeps burning and keeps burning. Aside from itself, there is no other light forever in any direction. It would be startling enough if the light were alone. As it happens, though, it has one partner, much smaller, dimmer. A terrestrial body is to be found close by. It possesses a thin coat of atmosphere wrapped evenly across its sparse terrain. Hardly remarkable from a distance. The surface is subject to the absolute minimal volcanic activity, unchanging for millennia. Like its parent star, this rocky body is nameless. For our purposes, we will use the name Kimalma. rage. 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 In the void of space and time, all units are meaningless all the same. Still, for our purposes, Kimalma boasts a radius of 3,392.1 kilometers and a mass of 10 to the 25th kilograms. If the light were the size of a football, Kimalma would be no larger than an ant. The planet orbits at a steady distance of 62,508,759.2 kilometers, a stable and perfectly circular revolution. A year lasts 149.1 days. This is without inclination, and the world itself spins with no tilt. Drifting down through the thin film of gases separating Kimalma's blemished skin from the vacuum, one might note the stark briefness of her days. Just over a measly 20 hours. Take a deep breath. Our hypothetical visitor, through whose eyes, nostrils, and ears we perceive, detects the elements of nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and carbon dioxide. This foul potion is alien enough that our visitor chokes and stutters, breathing labored and croaky, though not so unfamiliar as to suffocate him. Thusly, our intrepid visitor moves down through the sky, down to the hazy surface. On descent, what looked from afar to be a dense and stony landscape gently squelches beneath our visitor's feet. Kimalma's floor pops and splutters, grinding into a fine paste in some places, morphing like a rigid fabric in others. This land is not dissimilar to a bog, wet and warmish residue sticking to our fingers as we prod and poke, residual heaps sticking to our boots and weighing us down heavily. Behold an abundance of water across the face of this world. It hangs in the air and makes it all clammy, clinging to the skin with an uncomfortable odor, reminiscent of chlorine mixed with rotting eggs. If water could go stale, it would probably smell like this. It sticks to the ground as a low-hanging mist, moistening the soil such that nowhere feels like stable footing. The thick, musty air serves to evenly distribute heat, making one side of the planet feel much as warm as the other. Our visitor's landing site sits sogging on a shallow hill, whose faces are so flat as to be near indiscernible from its shallow top. From this vantage, we witness unending rolls of hills in all directions. There are no mountainous ranges, no spectacular ravines, no rocks that jaggedly shoot up to mark this place or that. Even if one were to live here for a lifetime or longer, Kimalma's plainly uninspiring vistas make it near impossible to map out. Such is its dizzying blandness. Walk for kilometers in whatever direction you wish. The closest thing to a surprise might come as a hill that is slightly higher than the others, or a sodden coastline overlooking a loch of brown water. Rain is never far off. Dirty waters have carved out small barrows, dribbling quietly around the mounds, but expect to see no grand gorges here. A stream will end up in one of the many, many ponds and lakes that dot the planet's landscape. On occasion, these troughs grow into small seas, reforming the land into low-lying bays, smooth beaches, and small islands. The great cliffs one might expect from fluvial erosion are not possible on Kimalma. The soil, more like a damp clay than anything, is so weakly glued together that coastlines are rarely flanked by sheer cliffs. Our imaginary visitor, with no knowledge of whence he came, wanders aimlessly over the crest of a hill, then another, hoping each time that the sight on the other side is anything more than mediocre. If the void above is maddeningly barren, the harmonious bleak dome of Kimalma is hardly an improvement. After many weeks of travel, note the exhaustion overtaking our poor and wretched explorer. He takes to kicking up the wet dirt in frustration and boredom. Can the deafening pitch dark of the void truly be a preferable alternative? At the very least, it does not pretend to be anything more. It never purports to be Earth-like, only to disappoint with the revelation of its dreariness. Our visitor rears to ascend, to leave Kimalma behind. Then beneath some glistening wet rubble, his eye catches something. Movement. Has the visitor finally gone mad? There is something more, hidden just beneath our feet. It is Kimalma's most interesting feature of all. Do not question when or how it began, that is impossible to say. But by one means or another, in the wet, rancid pools of these marshes, something became alive. It swam about obliviously at microscopic scale, and in time it came to dominate the surface, invisibly teeming. Most are single-celled, mindless to the miracle of their existence. Their prodigious lineage carries down the line for millennia, ad nauseum. Culminating at last with the creature beneath our visitor's feet. This life bears no name, so we will give it a temporary one. Worm. The worm is alien indeed, constituting the only complex organism on the surface of Kimalma, or indeed, anywhere. Our visitor, wordlessly with heart pounding now, leans in to observe the leathery sheen of the worm's form. Its elongated shell, no longer than 10 centimeters, is segmented like some Paleozoic insect grub. The mild worm has no eyes, and as far as can be told, no sense of hearing. Its world, its whole conception of reality, is wet sensations and dirty smells, and nothing else. Black as the void, silent as death. It knows nothing. On closer inspection, our visitor stands aghast at the realization that these creatures, these worms, are in fact numerous. They crawl in the wet dirt, cloaked in brown muck, and blending seamlessly with the ground. They come in all sizes, even some variations of color. Any hope for intelligence or awareness on any level is coldly eliminated with the sight of one worm that appears to have fallen into a small crevice and flailing and failing to get out. Another crawls in circles, seemingly confused. In fact, the whole herd moves with senseless and sluggish abandon, no end in mind, save the everlasting search for tasteless nutrients. Perhaps herd is not accurate. They display no social behaviors at all, as if completely unaware of each other. They navigate via a queasy mucus coating that dribbles out of glands along their underbellies, locomoting slowly by wet contractions, like a little filthy lung breathing in and blowing out, heaving across the ground. Quite simply, worms are perfectly suited to their never-changing environment. And so, mutation of any kind, however minor, can only be unbeneficial, naturally fading within a single generation. Consequently, the population is almost completely genetically homogeneous. The ecstasy of sexual reproduction is foreign to them. They reproduce via an asexual ritual, the most efficient method nature could achieve. One by one, and at irregular intervals, the worms spit jets of misty sperm into the air. This sperm drifts in the air for a minute or so, most landing pointlessly in the filth. The occasional specimen, however, will land on another worm's body, soaked in thick slime and absorbed into the squirming mass. A week later, it will sprout as a larva, growing out of the parent's skin. Gestation takes only a few days before the infant creature falls off and starts to crawl. All the while, the parent is, for all intents and purposes, completely unconscious of any of this. Our visitor observes that the worms are simplicity incarnate, breathed the gift of life by the callous swirling of chemistry, and they are precisely as complex as it gets. And with that, it must solemnly be said, the utility of our visitor is done. They fade in an instant, having never existed at all, and with them, let fade the names we absurdly attach to the star, the planet, and its life forms. The planet rolls on, unabated by things as reason or drive, spiraling ceaselessly towards the unreachable. Save for these two orbs, there is nothing at all. Nowhere in all reality, and at no other point in eternity, forwards or backwards, in no other place in all of existence, can living matter be found, drudging and sliding through the grime of unenviable existence. Moving away, we see the planet alone, orbiting its star, alone, at a constant speed and a consistent velocity. Move ever further, the star dimming into inky darkness, where place and era mean nothing, where the mere conception of an alternative, however simplistic, is a fiction without a mind to conceive it. This is all there is in perpetuity, and all there ever has been. Like a cold fire that feeds on its own ash, and has done so for ages out of time, the planet has orbited, and the star has burned, without a beginning and without hope for an end. The lightness is gone now, much too far in the dark to ever see. But even without eyes to witness it, the spinning continues without impedance, without alteration, without knowledge of itself, and so much the better. Slicking, sliding, warping in the detritus of thick slurries, the mix of rainwater and earth and secretions. It will do so, simply and predictably, raging on, and raging, and raging. Forever.